Phoenix Suns drop a testy, difficult, stressful game 2 at home, 125-114 to the Pelicans. But the big story is Devin Booker going out with a hamstring injury. We'll break down what that timeline is looking like, what we know right now, and what went wrong in this game on today's episode of Locked On Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are back. This is Locked On Phoenix Suns. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Brendon Kleen, a contributor at Suns.com and Dime Magazine, and a credentialed media member covering this Suns team for the past 5 seasons. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen today and every single day from here on out in what should be an awesome Suns run. So scroll down, hit that subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, and especially on our YouTube channel, which we are building and building and building. So hop on. Let's get to it for today's show, though, guys. 125-114, again, that final score. Devin Booker is the story. 31 points in the first half, which I believe happened in, I would like to say, 21 or 23 minutes. He was incredible. It was his second half, a playoff half of his career, where he scored 30-plus and had 7 or more threes. That also happened in the first half against the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 6 of last year's first-round series. He did it again tonight. He was just raining shots from everywhere, including to close the first half and give the Suns a 61-56 lead at the end of that half. Comes in the second half at I want to get this right from a timing standpoint, about the halfway point, just before then of the third quarter, jumps to contest a Jackson Hayes dunk in transition, jumps off of his right foot, and you could tell right away that it was not, something was awry. He landed a little bit awkwardly, took a couple of steps out of bounds, and then, let's see here, 7:52 is the exact timing. And you could see it right away. He comes back to the bench and sits down, gets massaged, etc. So a few things. First of all, the injury that he missed a little bit of time with, I believe it was 20 real-time days and 7 games. That injury that he sustained earlier in the season in that Warriors game in the fall, that injury was to his left hamstring. And I believe, if we are reading the tea leaves correctly, if I'm remembering correctly, the injury in Game 3 of the finals that he dealt with for the remainder of the finals last year and into the Olympics, etc., that I believe was also his left hamstring. This is his right. Number 2, he walked back to the bench. He landed on the leg, walked it off, walked himself all the way back to the bench. Yes, he is grimacing. Yes, you could see on his face that he knew something was not right, but it's not as if he needed to be helped off or crutches, or he was good in that way. Now, very different than playing basketball. I'm not trying to say that that's all we need to look at, but it's good. It's at least a positive sign. And then lastly, some of the sports science folks on Twitter and YouTube, et cetera, that I was able to see some initial thoughts from, they pointed to the fact that the massage that was caught on camera by the TNT crew was happening very much like in that general back of your thigh type of spot where we all think when we think hamstring, but lower, so closer to the knee, really in the meat of the leg, rather than up closer to the butt area, which would be a tendon concern. So all things considered, I don't think the injury is something that's going to be, maybe we use that 20-day thing as a benchmark, but a regular season benchmark, if you think, okay, maybe that gets cut in half, Luka is a similar type of muscle injury right now with his calf strain. He's sort of rushing things back. He did not meet the normal timeline, and he's already looking like he may be back for game 3. We know the playoffs rush those types of timelines. So let's say it's 10 days. Well, that brings me to, and that's, look, very much a ballpark. I totally get that. But we have to work off of something. I'm just getting home from the game, and I want to at least talk through it. So let's just say it's something like that. Let's say it's similar in severity, similar in, recovery time to what he just dealt with earlier this season. But because it's the playoffs, they push things a little bit. So 10 days, that's the 29th of April. That is the end of next week. This series could still be going on. I think game 5 is Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday, I believe. Game 6 would be Thursday or Friday, and he could already be back, right? So he could be back in this series depending on how long it goes, if that's the 10 days. If it's 20 days, maybe he's missing games in the next series if the Suns can win it. But the bottom line is, and where I'm going here, is they can win it. And usually during the regular season, I'll use these recap segments at the very beginning. What's the big takeaway? What's the punchy thing that you need to know from the game? Obviously, in this case, we have to talk about the injury, but I think these things are connected. The Suns have not played a game that feels like a Suns game. And total credit to the Pelicans for making that happen. We'll talk about how they're controlling the possession game next segment, but the Suns have not been able to be themselves. And you don't have to look any further than what they did in the last regular season matchup between these teams, which, if you remember, Chris Paul did not play in. But the Suns won resoundingly, 16-point win. In that game, the Suns had 35 assists. They got up 34 threes. They made 18 of those threes, and they only turned the ball over 8 times. That is 0.5 basketball. That is the Monty Williams system. That is this Suns team at its absolute best. In this game, 26 assists. They did get up 35 threes, but only made 13 of them, and you can't even really count that too much because 7 of those were Booker, and they had 12 turnovers. And then the defense is another part of this, which we will also get into here momentarily, but that doesn't feel like a Suns game. And then if you look back even just to the previous matchup in game 1 on Sunday night, it's more of the same. Those numbers do not stand up. 25 assists in game 1, only 28 three-point attempts, only 10 made threes. Yes, the turnovers were still low. The Pelicans are not a turnover-forcing defensive team by any means. They want to control possessions with their rebounding. So if the Suns are able to look anything like they did in that last regular season game, if guys like Jay Crowder can make even one shot in Crowder's case would be nice, of course. Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, Mikal Bridges, all guys who stepped up and scored, and especially Cameron Payne. Of course, I understand at that point he was starting, he was healthier, things were different, but you're not getting a lot of those role players stepping up from a scoring standpoint right now. Bridges has basically been the only guy in both games who made some offensive plays, and even him in game 1, it wasn't his best. So that's going to need to happen. I think it can happen. The Suns have proven it. They've had the Pelicans' number, even though they've been some close games. Ever since Chris Paul got here, the Suns have been able to handle the Pelicans, even with Zion last year, with McCollum this year. It hasn't mattered. They can do it with or without Booker. We saw that while he was missing time with the last hamstring injury. So we'll continue to obviously monitor what this whole thing ends up looking like, how long he's out, all of it. But I think the Suns can win. They have not looked anything like themselves through 96 minutes here. Yes, you can point to rebounding. Yes, you can point to Ingram. And I'm going to continue to talk about all that stuff because it's also relevant. But the Suns can win. They can win game 3. They could win game 4. They could win game 5 and end this thing. But they absolutely have the means to win this series. This game doesn't change that for me. And Booker's injury doesn't change that for me. We know this team has that next man up ability because of the system they play, because of the cohesion, the IQ, all of it. That doesn't stop just because they have a bad night and one of their best players, if not their best player, goes down. Want to talk about the possession game, though. That more than anything else is why the Pelicans have been able to keep these games close and in tonight's case actually win it. So we'll talk about what they did tonight that was a little bit different than game one in that area. First though, guys, today's show brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed and durable frames, as well as premium high-end finishes. In addition, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' Insane Protection Program. They include lost and broken protection on every pair you buy, and they'll send you a brand new pair if you lose them, in addition to if you break them, no matter what happened. No explanation required. Give them a try. If you don't love them, you will pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, when you shop at Shady Rays, you buy a pair, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America with each order, exclusively for our Locked On listeners. At shadyrays.com, use the code LOCKEDON when you make your purchase to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, polarized, backed by over 150,000 5-star reviews. Again, that's shadyrays.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Game one's story, of course, was the offensive rebounding that the Pelicans put together. The Suns finished the job there. They answered the call with the rebounding in this game. They were only out-rebounded total by 10. The Pelicans only grabbed 11 offensive boards total. Valanciunas only had 3 and only 13 total. So that was not so much of an issue in this game. And yet, the Pelicans were still able to control the possession game. So a few things. One is the transition scoring. So, and this is all connected, which is obviously what's so fun about playoff basketball, but what also is so frustrating about playoff basketball. So they did not commit to the offensive glass as much tonight, and you could tell that from the jump. And of course, when you're not crashing the glass, when you're not sending players to the basket on a miss, well, that can free you up to go run. And that's a lot of what the Pelicans did. I mean, some of it's not rocket science, right? 16 fast break points. If you look at the box score, they forced 12 turnovers by the Suns. They were able to score, let's see, the box score says 2 different things. So they scored 12 points off of those 12 turnovers is what I will assume that means. And that's just a big upgrade from where they were in game one. Game one, they only had 8 points off of turnovers, and they only had 2 fast break points. So right away, you can see that. Less of an emphasis on getting those offensive boards, probably partially knowing the Suns were going to be so keyed into it. The Pelicans said, hey, we'll grab some anyway. We'll probably win this category every night in our sleep just because of the size we're bringing to the table and the way that the Suns play defense, with Ayton being on the perimeter sometimes and then not playing a lot of size in Phoenix, etc. So that was pretty smart. But the other part that got a little bit more interesting and strategic about it from Willie Green is you can tell, because a big part of what I talked about was Jackson Hayes. Willie Green went ahead and handed my crap right back to me with that one. I was wrong, obviously. Hayes played well. They were even in his 20 minutes, which is pretty darn good, all things considered, because in game one, they got outscored by 11 in his 11 minutes. So to be even and he's playing more is good. What they were doing there, he did get 3 offensive rebounds. A lot of those were sort of like athletic putback types of like soaring in from the perimeter and grabbing it and smashing it down types of plays. But the other thing they were doing with Hayes, knowing the Suns were going to target him and knowing he was going to be guarding Jay Crowder again, which he did. And we saw in game one, the Suns were encouraging Crowder to shoot. They're running sets for Crowder that they don't always run. Very much with the mind of let's make Hayes work. Let's make him uncomfortable. So the Pelicans in this game, they knew that was coming. And what they did, you can envision this conversation happening with the coaching staff. Hey, Jackson, you are going to have to be running out to contest Jay Crowder jumpers a lot, or jumpers from whomever, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, with all the switching that's happening, with all the ways that they're targeting you. When the Suns do that, Jackson, put your hand up, run out there, and don't stop. Keep running. And it worked. And these games are decided on the margins so much that if you can do something like that, that gives you 4 to 6 extra points in a way that the opponent is not expecting you to get them, that can be the difference. Obviously, in this case, it was 11 points. Brandon Ingram, I'm not ignoring him. I don't know how much of an answer there is or a bunch of analysis that there really can be on that. So that's why I'm saving him. But that was the case tonight. And it was Hayes who stole those points. As we just saw with the Booker injury, that was him trying to stop a run out by Hayes. And it's such a smart way to kind of turn the Sun strategy back on them, especially knowing that Crowder has been cold. I mean, that's the other part of this is the Pelicans looked at what happened in game one, not only with Hayes being targeted on the perimeter, but also with Crowder missing so much. And they made the bet that, hey, if Hayes is doing that type of closeout energy, etc., running out onto the three-point line, let's bet that Crowder's going to miss that and we can turn that into offense on the other side. And it was so smart. So that was a lot of the way that they were able to control the pace tonight. Less so on the offensive rebound, more on, hey, we are going to make the Suns second guess their rhythm, their MO when they are in the half court on offense a little bit more than they were with, these 2 or 3 things we're going to start to do. And again, the Pelicans believe that they can keep games close enough where those little things matter. In game one, it was offensive rebounding that allowed the Pelicans to stay in it, make their third quarter run, cut it to single digits. In game two, it was transition offense. It was fast break points. It was runouts. And it was a little bit more of turning defense into offense. And that all adds up to, hey, we are putting ourselves in a position to be close all game long. And then you never know. Devin Booker goes out. Brandon Ingram catches fire. And we're making this a ball game on the road in a game 2 in our first ever playoff series together. I saw a stat that 7 of the players who played in this game for the Pels tonight was not on the roster last season. So that is a hell of a motivation, but it also shows the confidence they're coming in with, that they think, hey, if Jackson can score a couple of these, et cetera, like we're going to be right where we want to be. And you don't think of, I want to be right where I want to be for an 8 seed in their first toe dip ever in the postseason, but here we are. On that note, we got to talk about Ingram. I won't belabor it any further. I'm beating around the bush here. He was magnificent. 37 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. I'll tell you a little bit about what Monty Williams and Mikal Bridges said about this night that Ingram put together, and I'll kind of try to explain best as I can why it happened and what they can do about it. First, though, guys, today's show brought to you as well by Built Bar, my favorite protein bar, the best protein bar on the planet. You don't have to let me tell you. Let everybody who loves them tell you, and let Built tell you, because they know what people really want here. They make it delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy, how to make it proteiny, all of it. And they do it every single time. I've never been let down. There's some I like more than others. I love double chocolate, for instance. I love mint brownie, for instance, but I've never been disappointed. And they also have Built Puffs, which is the first ever protein-infused marshmallows for somebody who maybe likes even sweeter stuff, but somehow they do it without actually adding any more sugar at all. No more than 5 grams of sugar, guys, but packed with 15 to 20 grams of protein. That's the bottom line. I'm looking at the Built.com website, and they are unveiling a limited time mint marshmallow Built Bar Puff. They do this seasonally. It comes back every so often. It's like, your favorite fast food joint bringing a burger back. But in this case, it's much, much, much healthier for you. Mint Marshmallow Puff is limited time. Go snag them. Built.com, guys. Built.com. When you make a purchase, use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. Try something new. Go back to a favorite. You'll love it either way. Promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. The second biggest story of the night, maybe the biggest, aside from Devin Booker's injury, is Brandon Ingram going off. 37 points, 13 of 21 from the field, 3 of 3 from deep. He also he added to that nine assists and 11 rebounds. I mean, that has to be through all of the game twos, which we're now done with in the NBA. That stat line, that performance capped off with a win is one of the single best ones that you will get, that we have gotten. I mean, Anthony Edwards in game 1 of that series, you would have up there. Maybe Ja Morant in game 2 of that series. Jimmy Butler, obviously. Ingram is announcing himself here, and that is a big part of, he is just a really incredible talent, and he is a guy who at 6'9" or whatever he is putting it together. But enough fluffing up Brandon Ingram, because I think the next thing you have to ask yourself as a Suns fan, follower, as somebody in that building, can he do it again? Can he do it again? Not just because he's a young player in his first playoff run, but because of the way he did it and the way he tends to score. He did have a couple of putback dunks. He had, a couple jumpers over mismatches, couple in rhythm threes, but a lot of the rest of it was tough shot making. It's actually a very interesting matchup for the Suns to be playing him, because he's a guy who likes to live in that mid-range, is very reliant on his jumper as well. And so to be playing the Suns with Booker and Paul, who also do that, is kind of interesting. And McCollum is also a jump shooting guy. So not a lot of rim attempts and a lot of jumpers in this series. And Ingram just made his tonight. That's not always going to happen. It didn't happen in game 1. So he was 6 of 17, didn't get as many easy looks. In this game, he was featured a little bit more. I think that they were able to get him going in rhythm a little bit better. The game was in reach, which I think is better suited for his sort of slow it down style. He's not somebody that's going to run pick and rolls or handle the ball down the floor and push in transition or any of that type of thing. He's somebody who is going to settle in, get his looks kind of organically, methodically. So when you're in the game, it's a little easier, I think, to have Ingram work. A couple things that I think can change and need to change with him, though. One is easy. It's what Monty Williams said, which is you need to be ready when he gets hot, right? I think the Suns were a little bit dumbstruck that the Pelicans were able to make the shots that they did late. When you have Jose Alvarado making threes, when you have McCollum, doing his thing, and then Ingram doing his thing, I think the Suns were caught off guard. And so Monty was talking about, a couple moments where it's like he's coming off a screen after he's already made a few jumpers, and you don't have a lot of, hands and bodies in his face right when he gets liftoff for his shot. You need to just kind of know it at a certain point. And I think from the jump in game 2, there will be that readiness. And you have to just, in the playoffs, cool players off. You can't keep allowing the team to go to that guy and get sort of comfortable with that. That's an easy one. Matchup-wise, I think is the obvious other thing to look at. I do not think Torrey Craig or Cam Johnson are really options here. So you start to get a little bit interesting, right? Because I think Cam is done a better job than Torrey. I just think Torrey, I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's discipline. I don't know if it's savvy. I don't know if he's just a little bit smaller than Jay Crowder and a little bit shorter and shorter arms than Mikal Bridges. It's probably a combination of all those things. I wouldn't be surprised if Monty went a different direction than Torrey in game 3, period, in the rotation. He pulled Torrey for making a mistake right away in the second quarter, 45 seconds in, channeling his pop a little bit, Monty did there. And Torrey did come back in for the second half for his normal spot in the rotation, but he only played 8 minutes, which is fewer than he played in game 1. And he's not been able to do anything against Ingram, which is what Monty said is the reason Torrey is playing over Landry Shamet. So that's one. No Torrey Craig. I think ideally you have Bridges be the backup defender on Ingram when Crowder's not in the game, and then maybe a little bit of Cam Johnson. I understand there's going to be switching. I understand those things are natural. If you end up where it's, Chris Paul on him or Landry Shamet on him, like you sort of live with that. You send an extra help defense. You double him the way that the Suns have been doubling him. I think that in general, the Pelicans were a little better about getting Ingram the ball in rhythm rather than having him initiate offense, because that was a lot of when the Suns were doubling him in game one. So if it's going to be a little bit more of like off ball into isolations, then you need to have a defender ready for that more consistently, not just somebody that's like a body who's getting in the way. So Bridges should probably see some more time on Ingram in game three. We're going to have more time to flesh out these adjustments because we do have 2 off days now before game 3 in New Orleans. But I'm going to run through a few anyway. So Bridges doing that, and then less Torrey Craig. And then the other thing is the passing, and that's the toughest thing for me. I think I've been really impressed throughout all of the play-in games into these 2 playoff games from Ingram, how well he has handled the defensive attention that he's getting when he catches the ball. I mean, we saw the Clippers just completely wreck Karl Anthony Towns' confidence and his rhythm in that play-in game, even though the Wolves ended up winning. And then the next time around, the Clippers deploy a very similar strategy on Ingram, and he kind of picked them apart. I mean, I don't want to say he was like, diming everybody up, getting 15 assists in the game. He's not Nikola Jokic out there, but what he was doing was playing patient and taking what they were giving to him and moving the ball in an intelligent way that keeps the offense going. And tonight, when the players made shots, those turned into assists. Not only did Alvarado play better, Trey Murphy had a pretty strong night, just a little bit of a higher volume than the last game. He made 3 threes instead of 2. Larry Nance, I thought, had a really strong game, making some plays, keeping the offense going, allowing the small ball lineup to work. He made 1 pick and pop 3. So when the Pelicans are making those shots and Ingram is playing at that smart, high IQ level, those are going to turn into assists. And some of that's natural. If you're going to devote attention to him and he's going to make the right pass, at a certain point, you're rooting for basically misses. You're rooting for the right guys to be taking those open shots. Herb Jones, who made them tonight. Alvarado, who made them tonight. At a certain point, it's like, you have to live with something. And tonight, the team shot 57%. So that probably goes down. The Pelicans are not going to be a 60% shooting 3-point team for the whole series. If you are ready for Ingram, more prepared for some of that off-ball action and less initiation from him, I think there's some things you can do there in terms of playing him physically. When are you bringing the help? All of that, if you're more ready for that going into game 3. And don't guard him with players who can't guard him. I mean, those are the types of things as a series progresses, guys just fall out of the rotation, minutes go up, and you don't try stuff anymore. You go to what's working. And Craig doesn't seem like he's working. Cam, maybe, but definitely Bridges and Crowder. I still think Jay is missing shots. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, the next couple of days. But regardless, he needs to be out there for his defense. And look, it's a tough game. It's a tough matchup. It's a tough team. And I talked about the confidence. I think that's a huge part of this. They feel like they can continue to compete with this Suns team. They have the talent. They have the shot making. Is it going to happen every night? No, but when you have a smart coaching strategy and you have individual scorers who can make plays down the stretch and you have some role players who fit well, like, it's why they made the playoffs. It's why they were a plus 500 team for the last several months of the season. It's why, with Zion, even last year, they were a team that could really take advantage of you if you weren't ready for them. Like, they have talent. So it's not going to be an easy series. When I was sort of hinting at, I thought it might be a sweep. I still didn't think it would just be like a walk in the park at all. This team's good. Suns are seeing that. If there's no Devin Booker, the mission gets even harder to accomplish. I think they still can. I think they absolutely still will. I'm not, worried after 2 games that, I need to reevaluate and go Pelicans in 7. I'm not doing any of that, but this is a wake-up call game. There's no way around it. All right, 2 off days to continue to dive into all of this. Check-ins on Booker's injury. Jay Crowder, what's going on there? Does the rotation change at all? Lots to talk to. So hit subscribe. Don't miss a show. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen post-game here, Wednesday morning, whenever you're listening. I'll be here all week long recapping even Game 3 on Friday. You're going to get a bonus show, and that'll be the schedule for the week, guys. Again, a big thank you for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.